what's dominating the headlines today, honestly, more than, and it should be this way, more than the way Tyson Bagent played in an actual analysis and breakdown of his game, is the way that he was perceived by the broadcast, the way that he was perceived by the media, and the question of, you know, and again, to add to that, the Adam Schefter tweet the day before about, oh, his team saw this coming. A player on the team said he could, quote, be the next Brock Purdy, and all this smoke, right? And again, we knew that this would happen, but he was the storyline on Sunday Night Football. You got two teams with 2 wins and 2 teams who are 2 games under 500, and the Chargers are just kind of vanilla as far as like a narratives. Like they're good, but they don't have a strong fan base, and there's not a lot of people backing the Chargers except for the emotional super fan who everything thinks in an industry plant. And the narrative around the game was clearly Tyson Bagent, and they milked the hell out of it pregame, and they milked the hell out of it during the game. But the greater question becomes, that is not a coincidence. That more than likely all comes from the team. These broadcasts, these crews, they have production meetings with the coaching staff.
Or an agent.
Or an agent, sure. But, I can't imagine an agent just getting involved with Tirico and Condorth and all of that. But it's really what it is. And we'll get into this in a little bit. I just kind of wanted to throw it out there. The teams, this all came from the team. Luke Getsy got into that meeting room in that production meeting with Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico and said all these things to make them say that on the broadcast. Somebody would have had to leak the thing about, a Bears player say the next Brock Purdy to Adam Schefter. Like, all of these things come from the team. And that's a goddamn scary, 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 terrifying, horrifying reality once we kind of get into it. But going back to just the initial reaction and the overall view of the game, I mean, we told you so, and it's your fault, not you specifically, Jake, because you weren't on this, but you, some people who set these expectations for Tyson Bagent, is like I almost felt bad for the kid now, because you did the same exact thing you do for everybody in this franchise, and it's hard in the Chicago market, yada, yada, and the expectations are high. But if you were the one who were saying he could be Brock Purdy, he could be Kurt Warner, the guy on the score calling in saying he's the next Joe Burrow, he could be as good as Joe Burrow, you are the problem, because now you set the expectations way too high. And now there's people on Twitter today who's saying, well, you got to evaluate him like a second game rookie. No, you don't, because you put expectations out there that he is the next coming of Kurt Warner and the next coming of Tom Brady and the next Mr. Irrelevant and this great story who's going to be the future starter of the Bears. If you want that to be the case, you have to evaluate him like he's a 3-year starter. And you have to evaluate him the same exact way you evaluate Justin Fields on a week-to-week basis. If that's what you think, if you think he's better, if you want to insinuate that he's a better option, you evaluate him the same. And if you evaluate him the same, it's not even close. I mean, there was not, like, sure, did Tyson Bagent lose you the game? No, he didn't lose you the game. But did he do anything that made you feel like he could be here for the long term and win you games consistently? And Jake's arguing that he kind of did lose you the game.
I mean, the first interception was brutal.
I mean, that was one of the worst interceptions.
The second one was
Jordan Love-esque.
Yeah, and the second one was a good play made by the defensive back, but also like the other one that was almost an interception. Like there were a couple there were 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that should have been interceptions, 2 that were brutal throws too. So I mean,
he's throwing the ball all over the place, and and that's, again, this is why the first play is so funny. And just how we started this all off with is because we know the narrative throughout the week, right? Tyson Bagent could be this, he could be that, but right, Jake, what does he maybe not have that most of these quarterbacks do have, right? He doesn't have this arm strength, he doesn't have the cannon, and like pretty much on Tuesday when they started game planning for this game, I'm sure Matt Eberflus and Luke Getz were like, oh, we're gonna stick it to, we're gonna tease the entire world, and we're gonna throw a 40-yard shot play on the first play and erase the cannon narratives and erase the he can't throw the ball deep narratives because Nathan Peterman came in and threw the Hail Mary the week before, and it was so Bears for them to do that. And hey, great throw, right? It was a great play, but it was so Bears for them to do that. And then not do it the rest of the game. First of all, not do it they tried with the Velus Jones play, but pretty much for the rest of the game, stay conservative, just like you did against the Raiders. No passes beyond the sticks, no passes beyond 20 yards. And we said what would happen when you have a team. And by the way, 31st ranked pass defense in the NFL, one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. But hey, we have a full game tape on a player who and a team who's not confident in that player throwing beyond 20 yards. what's going to happen? You ain't going to be able to move the ball. They're going to be jumping routes all over the place on these throws to the outside, and that's what you got. So it was just frustrating.